Breaking news. Considered.
The Elias Macco Show.
News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
And we do have some breaking news for you. Our Prime Minister has responded to those latest Trump tariffs. The 50% slapped on a new range of Canadian products. And just moments ago, he announced that Donald Trump has agreed to intensify trade negotiations with Canada. Let's listen in to the Prime Minister.
Yesterday, the United States announced the intention in 30 days, to launch the latest, what is a series of trade actions against Canada in violation of our agreement, CUSMA, with the United States and Mexico. And I want to put this in a bit of perspective, then answer a couple questions. The first is that in response to these actions, this began over 18 months ago. Canadians from coast to coast to coast have stood together. The federal government, provincial government, Labour, business, Canadians themselves, uniting, focusing on what we can control, building strength here at home, supporting each other, buying Canadian, and diversifying partnerships abroad. We've signed more than 20 economic and security partnerships internationally. Investment, machinery and equipment's picking up, economy's picking up. We're growing jobs at twice the rate in the United States, with the fastest growth in foreign direct investment, investor confidence in Canada in over 2 decades, twice the rate of other countries. In the G7, we're projected to have the second fastest growth in the G7, not just this year, but next year going forward. So the country is stronger. We're stronger because we're united, and we will remain united. I will be speaking with the premiers later this afternoon. I'll be meeting with them tomorrow. Minister LeBlanc will convene the Canada-U.S. Advisory Council later this afternoon. Earlier this morning, and I would say as well that throughout this time we have made a series of comprehensive and detailed proposals about how to modernize CUSMA, recognizing the transition that the U.S. is underway in the international and all its trading relationships, including with Canada and Mexico. I spoke with President Trump earlier this morning. We agreed to intensify negotiations in the coming weeks, and the team and myself look forward to doing that. As always, Canadians, governments, business, Labour will stand together to build Canada strong and to have a trading relationship with our North American partners that benefits everyone.
That was Prime Minister Mark Carney speaking to reporters just moments ago in Ottawa, announcing that he spoke this morning to U.S. President Donald Trump about that latest round of Trump tariffs announced yesterday, and that the U.S. president has agreed to intensify trade negotiations with Canada. I'm sure you'll be hearing more about this in the way of news and analysis as the day progresses. Right now on the Elias Macco Show, we are going to talk family medicine, because there was a plea for change in the Gazette written by a family physician practicing in the Lower Laurentians, Laura Sang, and she's making the argument that while it is true that Quebec has met its goal of registering 500,000 new patients to family doctors and met it a month ahead of schedule. That is a paper win, but it is just a paper win, and on the ground more needs to be done, particularly for clinics like the ones that we see in smaller communities. Dr. Laura Sang, thanks for joining us on CJAD.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
What prompted you to write this piece for the Gazette? I detect a little bit of frustration in your writing.
Yes, so this is something I've actually been working on since March, but I was waiting to see sort of where things landed. But now that things have kind of settled and I still haven't seen certain changes that would be necessary to help keep my clinic up and running, I felt it was important to speak out and sensitize the general population to kind of better understand what's going on at an administrative level in terms of running clinics, and why paper wins might not always translate into the care that everyone is hoping to be able to give and receive.
Some of the things that you mention in your piece we've been hearing about for a long time, like the constraints on new doctors here in Quebec, that they're encouraged to go practice out in the regions, but there may not be enough permits or they're not interested in working there. And the upshot being is that it's always a struggle, specifically concerning the type of practice that you have. What are the impediments to providing full service to your community?
So first of all, there's just a general shortage of family doctors and specialists. So I end up seeing my patients 3, 4, 5 times for the same issue because they're not able to get in to see the specialist. The wait times are staggering. There's delays in imaging. So that's sort of one side of it. The next is that in terms of allied healthcare professionals, like nurses, pharmacists, social workers, the number of hours are entirely related to the number of patients registered at the clinic, as well as, in part, their vulnerability status. And for my practice, at least, which has an 80% vulnerability rate, the number of nurses and professionals that I would need to be able to really optimize the way that I work, have all of my patients with a solid diabetes follow-up, cognitive testing, management and nutrition consultation, all of those things, I can't really get to the degree that I would need. And especially things like physiotherapy. I have so many patients with degenerative diseases, with pain, as well as on work leave who cannot afford physio, and the wait list is years to get that. So with that rate-limiting step, I end up having to refer people for procedures to specialists for other consults that they might not necessarily need if these frontline services were accessible and in place.
That is a massive headache, not only for you, but also for the patient themselves, especially if you're dealing with someone who's trying to get back on the job. Someone who's trying to earn a living and needs physio and can't access physio. It's really kind of mind-boggling. Any indication that the government is hearing this type of complaint? Because I'm sure you must not be the only doctor highlighting these issues. Any indication there's some openness from Santé Quebec to talk about it?
I haven't heard anything directly. I know others have spoken out in some capacity. I also think that we're just in a bit of a lull at the moment with everyone going on holiday. But I'm hoping that, as time moves forward, there will be, a more receptiveness to looking at these kinds of changes and really working with frontline workers, as well as being guided by expert opinion that shows what kind of strategies would be efficacious in helping family doctors provide care and increasing access beyond just on paper.
One of the stats that you pull out in your piece that really stayed with me was from a survey that the Canadian Medical Association commissioned in 2025, the National Physicians Health Survey. 46% of physicians say they are exhausted, high levels of burnout. 37% say they hope to reduce their clinical hours in the next 2 years. Are you putting yourself in that category? Are you on the verge of burnout?
I am doing my very best to not be on the verge of burnout, but I too have had in part to reduce my clinical hours simply because seeing patients is only the tip of the iceberg of what I do. Because I'm having to, provide second, third, fourth, fifth line care for certain diseases that I'm not a specialist in, I end up having to contact specialists, read up on it, learn how to prescribe certain medications that are often outside of my scope to try to alleviate some of the suffering that my patients are experiencing. A lot of medications require special coverage, so I have to spend time filling out forms, disability tax credits, insurance forms to cover people off of work. I have to follow up on all of the tests that I'm ordering, all of the, consults that I'm requesting, especially when patients aren't being seen within the delay and they're deteriorating. I often have to coordinate care with other professionals, sometimes sort of home visits for blood work and that sort of thing. And in the absence of the personnel that I would need to do all of those tasks, it all falls on me. I wear a lot of hats And I need the time during, daytime hours where things are open and I can actually reach people to make those things happen. So yeah, I have to reduce the amount of schedulable appointment times to be able to take care of everything.
Dr. Laura Sang, this is mind-boggling. I do hope Santé Quebec is listening, and hang in there.
Thank you so much.
Dr. Laura Sang, family physician in the Lower Laurentians.
Unmistakably Canadian.
It's the music that raised you.
The artists raising the bar.
Hi, this is Brian Adams.
Hey, my name's Brett Emmons. I'm from the Glorious Sons.
Hi, I'm Nelly Furtado.
Made in Canada. The station that champions Canadian music.
Loud, proud, and all yours.
No passports required. Just press play.
Tap into Made in Canada now on iHeartRadio.ca
or the free iHeartRadio app.
Missed something?
Subscribe to the Elias Macco Show podcast to catch up.
Available on iHeartRadio and wherever you get your podcasts.
Well, we had that breaking news this morning. Just this past hour, Prime Minister Mark Carney says he spoke this morning to U.S. President Donald Trump, and the two have agreed to intensify trade talks. This is after Donald Trump announced a new round of 50% tariffs on a wide variety of Canadian goods entering the U.S. That's set to take effect in 30 days. We have had a response to that from the provincial government, and in a moment, Cabinet Minister Christopher Skeete will be our guest on the Elias Macco Show.
Hey, I'm Ruby Carr, the host of the podcast Encore. Check out our brand new episodes featuring music from the show that everyone is reheating as we speak, Heated Rivalry. Join me as I go behind the songs that brought Shane and Elia together. I'll tell you the stories of Feist, My Moon, My Man, Wolf Parade's I'll Believe in Anything, and Tattoo's All the Things She Said, and how they all became a part of this global phenomenon. Stream Encore on iHeartRadio, Crave, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Breaking news. Considered.
The
Elias Macco Show.
News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
As you know, there have been some new threats, tariff threats, made by the Trump administration. We will take the time to review the different measures that have been put forward by the Trump administration. As you know, I will defend and protect Quebec's economy, Quebec's workers, Quebec businesses until the end. And the supply management is something that is non-negotiable for me. I will meet with Prime Minister Carney later this week, and it is in my intention to discuss the situation, the current situation. Quebec's economy is really impacted by the tariffs, and we'll need to adopt a strategy that will permit the obtention of a stable framework.
Premier Christine Frechette, pretty clear here. She is concerned about this latest round of tariffs, the 50% tariffs on a wide variety of Canadian goods. And she mentioned in particular that the threat that came yesterday with the tariffs due to go into effect in 30 days, she referenced supply management, and that's talking about the dairy industry being so big here in Quebec and it being managed on the supply side, which is considered a trade irritant by the U.S. Here with more about the CAQ government's reaction to this latest round of threats and word that, the feds are going to step up negotiations with the states. We welcome CAQ MNA for St. Rose, Christopher Skeete, Minister of International Relations, and a long line of other titles as well. But I think international relations we're talking to you about today. Christopher Skeete, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
The Premier seems pretty determined that Quebec will hang tough. I think another question was about the booze boycott, and she said, we're going to maintain the booze boycott for the time being as well.
The alcohol ban was in response to the unfair tariffs. We forget, but when the U.S. triggered the 50% tariff on aluminum, that was against trade rules. And so it was a response to unfair action. It's not like as though we precipitated an action and caused preeminent harm, we were reacting to harm that was being given on us. 9 smelters in Canada, 8 are in Quebec. It really affects us harshly.
Now, let's talk a little bit more about what industries are of particular concern. We've touched on dairy. You mentioned aluminum. What other ones are key areas that Quebec is keeping an eye on?
There's a 45% tariff on softwood lumber, and this during a housing crisis in the U.S. The U.S. thinks that they don't need our aluminum, and yet the Ford F-150 built in South Carolina costs $3,000 more to the average American because of this tariff. It really makes no sense. It's the ultimate own goal, especially if the U.S. is trying to tell us that they're trying to divest away from trade with Asia or China, and they're trying to protect their economy. We are a partner in helping them do that, not an irritant. And so for the life of us, we don't understand this strategy from the White House. But again, we're not going to sit idle. We're going to defend our economy. We're going to defend our workers, and especially we're going to defend our way of life.
The Premier mentioned she is going to be speaking with the Prime Minister later this week. There's that big Premier's gathering, and then with the Prime Minister. What kind of message can the Premier deliver? Is it going to be negotiate fast, get this over with, or is it going to be a hang tough, don't give away the store?
So, your listeners might not know this, but I deposited recently a new international plan, an international policy. And in that policy, what we say is internationally, Quebec is going to protect its interest. As a federation, we have an obligation to our own constituents. And so things like supply management, things like our aerospace sector, things like our aluminum sector, things like our manufacturing sector, these have been particularly hard hit by these tariffs. And what we're saying is 2 things. 1, what's the federal strategy, and are we sure that this strategy is going to protect Quebec workers and the Quebec economic ecosystem? And 2, what level of consultation will we have in order to have our say in the future deals that are going to be made? And so I'm optimistic that the federal government is going to be open to having those discussions with us. But again, I think it's time to have a strategy. We've been facing these tariffs for a while now. We would like to know what the plan is to protect our economy.
Is the Premier going to be speaking to the other premiers about that? Because there, I think, has been a certain amount of pressure on the provinces to hang together on this, to stay together and not go off and defend their own interests. Alberta, to some degree, has dipped its toe in those waters, and the rest of Canada, I think, was not too impressed. Can we maintain solidarity among the provinces while at the same time defending Quebec's biggest worries?
So I think that is a fundamental question and a test of our federation, right? So what we have to do together is be coordinated, communicate, make sure that we have a shared strategy. Of course, if the U.S. wanted to have an advantage over Canada, the best way to do that would be to divide us individually and based on our provincial interests, right? So obviously, we are aware that that could be their strategy, and we believe that working together is probably the best strategy, which is why we recently opened up interprovincial trade to try and maximize our domestic interior economy. Now, once we've said that, Quebec won't stand idly while its ecosystems are sacrificed in the name of a larger deal, especially if we're not consulted. So, for instance, if a deal is made on supply management and we weren't consulted, if a deal is made on the aerospace sector and we're not consulted, that would be problematic. And so what we want is consultation, and what we want is to be involved in the decision-making process and also to know what the plan is.
International Relations Minister Christopher Skeete, thanks very much for your time today. We appreciate you joining us on short notice.
Anytime. Take care.
Christopher Skeete is also the CAQ M&A for St. Rose and the minister responsible for the Laval region. When we come back, we're going to have a little chat with Sue Smith about what's coming up on Montreal Now this afternoon. She's sitting in for Aaron Rand. First, though,
the newest tracks. Let's go. New music. And the next big thing.
Always on the new music first.
Your first place to hear it all.
'Cause you gon' like it, love it, wanna play it twice. Playing now.
iHeart New Music. Your digital station for brand new drops, fresh finds, and tomorrow's bangers.
I think we need something new.
Discover iHeart New Music. Always fresh, always first. Stream now on the free iHeartRadio app.
The Elias Macco Show. News Talk Radio. CJAD 800.
Environment Canada has updated our forecast for today. Yes, we're still looking at that chance of severe thunderstorms through the late afternoon. Our high today, 28 degrees, the humidex 33. Right now we're at 26 degrees. And I took a look at the hourly, and that's been updated as well because we are expecting those showers or thunderstorms a little earlier on. They are still due to come in starting around, these are all approximate times, you understand, around 3 o'clock, but they're going to persist, the showers and thunderstorms possible until 11 o'clock tonight, and then maybe a few dribs and drabs overnight as well. So it is a typically hot, humid day here in Montreal, and that often brings with it severe thunderstorms, so I guess we shouldn't be surprised. The yellow watch for this afternoon, talking about strong wind gusts, heavy rain, severe thunderstorms, possibly producing tornadoes, the usual yellow kind of watch we get for severe thunderstorms. Saying hello now to the woman who is going to be sitting in the big chair for Aaron Rand on Montreal Now this afternoon. It's Sue Smith. Hi, Sue.
Hi, Trudy. How you doing?
I'm doing well. It was kind of a hot news morning. We had that statement from the Prime Minister in Ottawa right around 11 o'clock that he spoke to President Donald Trump this morning, and the two have agreed to intensify trade talks. So to me, this is like Trump punching Canada in the face and then the next morning say, oh yeah, well, if you want to step up trade talks, I'm game. I'm down for that. So
yeah, that's what bullies do, Trudy. I don't think anyone thought it was anything other than a pure bullying tactic. Especially, I mean, it's so random. I mean, first of all, I don't mean to in any way diminish our wine industry, but how much wine really does go into the States, especially now, and hockey sticks and all these things. It just definitely felt like what? That we're going to kickstart negotiations? Who's the one that stopped them? That would have been him.
Yeah.
So.
And hockey sticks. That's what makes it personal. Is hockey sticks. That's definitely poking Canadians in the eye.
Yeah. But, listen, I'm laughing, and obviously we're going to follow that story today really closely because there have been a lot of ups and downs. But it's really serious, and the thing is that Canadians are suffering in their pocketbooks, not just on their hockey rinks. Like gas prices are also, of course, set to go up. We're going to talk about that today on the show, but now is the summer holiday. I know gas prices always go up before the summer holiday, but it's really going to be ridiculous. And, people we're supposed to be having Christmas in July. Thank you, Christine Frechette. But, is that really helping people with their pocketbooks and affordability? And it feels like the politicians are just not concentrating on the right things, sometimes.
We had Dan McTeague on last week, and he was predicting, what was it, $2.10 a liter or $2.20?
Yeah.
By the middle of next month. Yikes.
I know. We're going to speak to him this afternoon because, of course, things have changed since then.
True.
Last night would have been the 10th night in a row that the Americans bombed sites in Iran. So, I mean, it's safe to say that conflict has escalated, and that is not going to do anything good for oil. Plus, the Saudis were getting around the Strait of Hormuz and going through the Red Sea, and now the Houthis in Yemen have gotten involved. So it's really looking bad if you're, I don't know. Do you have an electric car, Trudy?
Our son does. We have not converted yet. That's in the future for us. But our son is driving a hybrid and loves it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, that's it. And I'm wondering, are people thinking of changing what they're driving or changing their driving habits? Because 210, voyons donc. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, to me, what that says is no running out to the dep on the spur of the moment at 9 o'clock at night. That's let's wait until tomorrow when I'm passing the store anyway.
Oh, yeah, but when you need chips, you really need chips. That's the problem.
I suppose, what we need are electric bike. That was another thing that got folks going on the show this morning. Do you have electric bike, or are you on the cycling bandwagon?
I do cycle, but I use Bixies. And sometimes when I can, I use the electric ones, but it never works properly. There are always like tons of electric bikes at the top of the hill and none at the bottom. So I don't use electric bikes very often. I think they're amazing though.
Let me ask you this question, because as one of the things we were talking about, it is where should motorized scooters go? The stand-up scooters and the sit-down scooters. Are you one of the cyclists who says, not in my bike lane if it's got a motor?
So my son has an electric scooter, and he actually had a really bad accident. He's fine, but he fell going down the middle of the street quite late at night. I make no comment on that. But he really hurt his shoulder, and so obviously I'm concerned about his safety. So I would say, yeah, I think honestly we can all share everything. I'm also a big driver, so I'm not one of these people that's like, boo cars and bikes for above all else. However, some of the ones that I would object more than the scooters, like I think the scooters should be careful and mindful. It's those big fat tire bikes, which are basically like motorcycles. And they go really, really fast. Those, I think, should be in the lanes with the cars. But scooters, no. If you go down, you've got no defense.
Yeah, well, that's true for mobility scooters as well. The three-wheelers or that are used for mobility, and they're so wide in bike lanes. Some people think they should be out in the road too.
Yeah.
Yeah, tough question.
I don't know. You're asking me really difficult questions, Trudy.
Sorry. Okay.
I'm going to run for mayor. No, but I want to tell you I'm a little distressed about the weather because I was supposed to be going on a bateau mouche today on the Old Port after the show, but that doesn't look like that's going to happen.
Yeah, it might be dicey.
No.
All right.
No, but pretty fun to take a boat ride, though, so hopefully it'll hold off.
Some people would relish a boat ride like that in a thunderstorm for the excitement of it. But all right, Sue, thanks very much for your time.
Okay, Trudy, thanks.
Sue Smith, sitting in for Aaron on Montreal Now later this afternoon. I'll be back in a sec.
The newest tracks. Let's go. New music. And the next big thing.
Always on the new music first.
Your first place to hear it all.
'Cause you gon' like it, love it, wanna play it twice. Playing now.
iHeart New Music. Your digital station for brand new drops, fresh finds, and tomorrow's bangers.
I think we need something new.
Discover iHeart New Music. Always fresh, always first. Stream now on the free iHeartRadio app.
I cannot say enough about Jay Farrar in Master Control and content producer Maxime Cadot. They put so much into this show. Kudos to them and thank you for the help, guys. I'll be back in the chair tomorrow as Elias's paternity leave continues. Again, according to the hourlies, we can expect those showers or thunderstorms to begin around 3 o'clock this afternoon and to persist right through the overnight hours, although the thunderstorms are supposed to wrap up around 11 o'clock tonight. Stay dry out there. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Carr, the host of the podcast Encore. Check out our brand new episodes featuring music from the show that everyone is reheating as we speak, Heated Rivalry. Join me as I go behind the songs that brought Shane and Elia together. I'll tell you the stories of Feist, My Moon, My Man, Wolf Parade's I'll Believe in Anything, and Tattoos, All the Things She Said, and how they all became a part of this global phenomenon. Stream Encore on iHeartRadio, Crave, or wherever you get your podcasts.
You're listening to the voice of Montreal.
News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
An iHeartRadio station.
Unmistakably Canadian.
It's the music that raised you.
The artists raising the bar.
Hi, this is Bryan Adams.
Hey, my name's Brett Emmons. I'm from the Glorious Sons.
Hi, I'm Nelly Furtado.
Made in Canada. The station that champions Canadian music.
Loud, proud, and all yours.
No passports required. Just press play.
Tap into Made in Canada now on iHeartRadio.ca
or the free iHeartRadio app.